Welcome everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsSaysStamp.com with a collaboration stamp set for STAMPtember, and this one is from Paper Smooches called Deco Fall. I really love this stamp set and I had a fun time using my inks and doing some overlaying stamping. This stamp set features a lot of bold fall shapes with patterns included, and I'll be concentrating on this leaf that has the polka dots. I'll be using a MISTI for this stamping, and I've centered my leaf so it hits just the edge of my cardstock, which is butted down to the lower right-hand corner, and I'm using Duckling ink for the first stamping. I'm also using the Simon Says Stamp grid paper for my MISTI, and this will be helpful because I'll keep my stamp in the same position, and I'll move my paper with each of my stampings. So for this one, I'm going to move it 3 grid marks, which is 3/4 of an inch. The next color I'm using is a Simon Says Stamp Melon ink, and I'll press this right over so it overlaps onto that duckling stamped leaf. Once again, I'll shift my paper over 3/4 of an inch, and my next stamping will be with the Simon Says Stamp Coral Reef ink. I don't need to clean my stamp in between because I'm working from lightest to darkest. So once I have this inked up, I can press it down and I start to get this ombre and overlapping look to my card. The next color I'm using is Apricot from Simon Says Stamp. I didn't clean it this time, and it gives me a nice little bit darker image of that apricot ink. And since I'll be moving back to a really light color, I will use a baby wipe and clean this off a little bit. And my next color that I'm using, I'm going back to Melon ink. And I've shifted my paper all the way to the top, so once I have that inked up, I can stamp this right over the top. I've moved my cardstock once again. It's overlapping on my MISTI, but I'm inking this up with Duckling ink once again, pressing this down to finish off my ombre look of leaves. It's really bold at this point, and once these inks set in, they'll lighten up and soften. I wanted to create a border for my card. I'm using the same ink colors and also the basic stripes stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and stamping these with a little white border in between. I'm ready to add my greeting, and I'm using my anti-static pouch and inking up the greeting with the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink, and I'll stamp this right over the base of those leaves. Then I can sprinkle this with some antique gold embossing powder, also from Simon Says Stamp, and heat that to a nice shiny finish. I've cut a thin strip of burnt orange cardstock, and I'm putting this right at the base of this card panel and adding some adhesive backing to the back. I'll adhere a piece of my stripes to my card and then adhere this top panel in place to overlap those stripes just a bit. These ink colors look really nice and fallish, and the overlapping of those leaves is just perfect for a nice autumn card. I've also used a fun combination of colors, and these are Steel Blue, Wisteria, Spring Rain, Beanstalk Green, Duckling, and Melon for a different kind of look. And then finally, I have also stamped a background using some cool colors of Steel Blue, Wisteria, Spring Rain, and Beanstalk Green. I hope you've enjoyed this inspiration using our STAMPtember Collaboration stamp set from Paper Smooches called Deco Fall. Be sure to check out our blog post, which is linked below in the description box for additional inspiration. And as always, thanks so much for watching.